The skeletal system is made up of four main components: bones, which make up the skeleton, joints, which allow for movement, cartilages, which protect bones, and ligaments that attach bone to bone. The skeletal system has many functions, including supporting the body and allowing you to walk, the protection of soft organs, movement due to attached skeletal muscles, storage of minerals and fats, and blood cell formation which occurs in your bones. The skeletal system is divided into two main parts: the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton is your main trunk and forms the longitudinal part of your body. The main parts are the skull, vertebral column, and the bony thorax. The skull contains two types of bones, including the cranium and facial bones. These bones are joined together by sutures. The vertebral column is also known as the spinal column. This consists of vertebrae that are given a name based on their location and intervertebral discs that allow for flexibility and act as shock absorbers during daily activities such as walking. The sections of the vertebral column are the cervical curvature, consisting of 7 vertebrae, the thoracic curvature, consisting of 12 vertebrae, the lumbar curvature, consisting of 5 vertebrae, the sacrum, and the coccyx. The bony thorax is made up of the sternum and the ribs. The sternum is the breastbone, and the ribs consist of 24 ribs or 12 pairs of ribs. There are 7 pairs of true ribs and 5 pairs of false ribs. Ribs 11 and 12 are called floating ribs, as they aren't connected to the costal cartilage like the others are. The ribs in the sternum form a cage that protect the heart, major blood vessels, and the lungs. The appendicular skeleton is essentially your extremities. It is composed of the shoulder girdle, the pelvic girdle, and the limbs. The bones of the shoulder girdle allow the upper limbs to have a large range of motion and movement. It is composed of the clavicle, which is your collarbone, and the scapula, which is your shoulder blade. The shoulder girdle, also known as the pectoral girdle, is what the arm bones connect to. The pelvic girdle contains 2 hip bones, with one on the left side of your body and one on the right side. The hip bone contains 3 parts: the ilium, the ischium, and the pubic bone. The pelvic girdle is very functional as it supports and carries the weight of your entire upper body, it protects your reproductive organs and urinary bladder, and it is what the leg bones attach to. The limbs can be broken up into the upper limbs and the lower limbs. The upper limbs, or the arms, start with the humerus, the upper part of the arm. Going down is the radius and ulna. Attached to those bones are the wrist bones or carpals. There are 8 carpals. The metacarpals are what make up your palm, and there are 5. Attached to the metacarpals are the phalanges that make up your fingers. There are 14 phalanges, and they can each be classified as proximal, middle, or distal. The lower limbs, or the legs, start with the thigh bone called the femur. Connected to the thigh bone is the patella at the kneecap, and then the 2 lower leg bones, which are the tibia and the fibula. The tibia is larger than the fibula. Attached to the lower leg are the tarsals. Similar to the hands, 8 carpals and 5 metacarpals, the foot contains 7 tarsals and 5 metatarsals. Connected to the metatarsals are 14 phalanges that make up the toes. The foot also contains the calcaneus, which makes up your heel. There are 4 main types of bones. Long bones are usually longer rather than wide. They have a shaft with heads at both ends, and they contain mostly compact bone. An example would be the femur or humerus. Short bones are generally cube-shaped and contain mostly spongy bone. An example would be the carpals or tarsals. Flat bones are thin, flattened, and usually curved. Examples include the skull, ribs, or the sternum. Irregular bones are bones with odd shapes that don't fit any other categories. Examples are vertebrae and the hip. Overall, the human body is composed of 206 bones. Another part of the skeletal system is joints. Joints are where bones join together. There are 3 main categories of joints that are based on movement. Synarthrosis are immovable joints. An example are the sutures or joints of the cranium. Amphiarthrosis are slightly movable joints. An example are the vertebrae. Diarthrosis are freely movable joints. An example is the arm socket. The skeletal system is also composed of cartilage that protects bones and ligaments that help attach bones. Cartilage and ligaments help support the joints. Without the skeletal system, you would not be able to go about your daily activities, including standing, sitting, walking, running, jumping, and most importantly, dancing.